die as quickly. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is to try and keep them in low upkeep, but not to keep them high up in low upkeep. So, and then you just want to wait for your tech advantage to kick in, and then you can pretty much own them, which is the basics of this matchup, really. I've said there's a few basics to this matchup, but, whatever. I'm okay with that. This is kind of a bad move right now. You should always keep a TP on your heroes. And one nice thing that the human player is doing is continuously siphoning the Tauren Chieftain and making it that so no matter how high of a level he is, it doesn't make much of a difference. So once again, nice little move is the human player is taking down the Orc player, and obviously the Orc player is doing a great job of getting rid of the Night Elf player. And once again, he's doing the basic demo raider type strategy with the Shadow Hunter. And really, the way you want to micro this as the Orc player is just try and, ensnare things and focus them down. That's pretty much the best micro that you can do. And generally, if you see this opportunity, which is what the human player has done, is try and double team one of them while the other one's just kind of running away from you. And that might sound kind of hard to do, but it's a great technique. And also, once again, Slow kind of kicking in and being a bitch, and kind of sucks that he lost his Flame Strike. Would have done a lot of damage there. So yeah, obviously there isn't really much micro-wise I can teach you guys about this matchup. The best thing that you can do is really just flank. And as I've explained, it's basically focusing down one unit and running away. So yeah, I guess in twos, one thing that you really want to keep in mind is that, like, if they're getting demos, you kind of want to get rid of those, especially as a human player, because they're really going to wail on your casters. So, when you have this kind of positioning, run. Nice little use of peasants to really tank. But what he should do is just kind of wrap around the back and focus down those demolishers. Because with Slow, you can really kick the crap out of those demos. Because A, they're expensive, and B, they do so much damage that if you don't get rid of those, you're kind of screwed anyways. So, good thing to get rid of. Later on in this game, you'll notice that they get level 6, they get their ultimates, the two Masters, and you'll see how it doesn't work out for them in the end because of how awesome the human and the Orc player kind of fended off their Felonious Assault. Once again, more Mana Siphon going off. Generally, you don't want to be, too reckless with the Mana Siphon and just, siphon them at 20 mana, because it just kind of wastes your mana, and you could have spent that mana on giving it to other heroes. This is a bad move to do right here, is to assault someone when they're, at a health fountain, because you're not going to really get any kills. And especially with this kind of positioning, because the demos have, a clear shot at the casters. Of course, now he's done some nice adjustment to kind of make it a little easier, but still, it's just not a good idea to keep the human there. Generally, you want to send them to the closer to the tavern, just so that really those demos don't do much. And the Tauren Chieftain should die. Bam, dead. Nice little shockwave though. So really, if you can, focus down a hero. As the Orc, as a human player, don't focus down heroes, because you're really not going to get the kill, especially when stuff is slowed. So, as I said, when you can, focus down those demos, because damn, they do a lot of damage. Oh, I didn't mention this, but the Night Elf player's headed up to Tier 2. So is the Orc player, but really the Night Elf player is the only one really taking advantage of this. And really what happens is they just mess Dryads. They don't really go into Tier 3 and start messing Bears to try and save their heroes. It just ends up being a booty load of Dryads. And I did mention them before as the only really way to prevent the flanking. So it's always a good idea if you're going to be doing this kind of massing strategy to actually get up to Tier 2. But since the Orc player and the human player did a great job of harassing early game and got a whole bunch of Wisp kills, it was kind of a little harder to do. And another thing about being reckless with the Mana Siphons is, if you're at low health and you're kind of in the front, don't Mana Siphon. It's really stupid. You're just going to lose your hero. So here's one of the problems with not being on either side of their army. You'll get rally jacked, and rally jacking is a huge part of twos. So really try and prevent that as much as possible. especially when you don't have any meat shield, and what they're rally jacking is priests and mortar teams, because you're really going to lose those, especially when they have, true shot aura and endurance aura. Always a good thing to be wary of. Also, another great thing to do with the Blade Master is just wail on those headhunters. If you're in one of those 2v2 battles where the orcs up front and the humans in the back, send your just windowhawk your Blade Master in the back, and start wailing on those headhunters, because really Blade Master shreds them to pieces, and that's their main source of damage output. Really, what the Dryads are is just dispel and the prevention of flanking. Other than that, headhunters are pretty much the key to this matchup, along with the Huntress, because they kind of deal so much damage to things such as raiders and grunts. They just kick so much ass. So it kind of confused me that the Night Elf didn't really continue producing them, but it kind of works out in the end, just because of the whole damage output thing. So once again, really don't rally jack yourself, and don't let yourself get your mortar teams, or don't let yourself get horrible positioning that you're going to lose your mortar teams. Really nice use of Starfall. Problem is, it's really not going to do much. And the best thing to do is actually kind of run away. Don't use Hex, because if you run away, they lose the True Shot aura, and then it takes them a little while to actually reposition to be able to do anything. Stupid thing to do is to, Flame Strike Dryads, because they don't take any damage. Especially, it's kind of really stupid to try and dodge it with the Dryads. Just sit in it and let it absorb. So once again, if you notice the Dryad movement, they're just kind of running in, dispelling, and kind of running away. If you can get them in the back of the casters, that's always brutal and annoying. But the only problem with that is that if you don't get them to the mortar teams, they're just going to end up dying. So that's always one thing to be careful of. Also, another thing about this map is that there are no shops. So really you have to be extra careful with your heroes, because you won't be able to get healing scrolls and TP scrolls unless you have an undead on your team. Then you can get healing scrolls, but you won't be able to get as many TP scrolls, which is unfortunate. So really you just have to be careful with your heroes and stuff. Really nice pathing motion here. What he should have done is just kind of run to the trees, but it's a little late for that now, because the Dryads would catch up to him and kill his hero. So it's kind of a good decision to try and tough it out. It's going to die. Poor guy. So yeah, one thing that is really important on this map is actually having your shop. And as you notice, the orc doesn't have it. Not only is it a good source of mana, but you can actually get a TP scroll, which is really important against this whole massing thing, because they're going to be doing a lot of hit and runs and just trying to level up their heroes and try and do as much damage to your base as possible so that you can produce things. So being able to go in and save your base is always a good thing to have. At this point in the game, really you want to get to 50 food and then actually try and get in a fight. Otherwise, it's just going to be disastrous, especially with tier 2 units, or when they have tier 2 units. It's just going to hurt, because they're in so much... They have so much more food than you do, because they've been producing all game, as opposed to you, who's been teching and producing heroes and such. So if you do look at, their food counts, one of them's at 62 and one of them's at 42. And this is for the Night Elf and the Orc team. Compared to Arc and Destiny, which are like 49-39. So really you want to stall this battle out until you both get 50 food. Reason being that you assault at 50 food, generally people wait and purchase a whole bunch of items, but if you can't purchase items, there's really no point. So one thing that the Orc is doing right now is actually trying to rally jack, except it's kind of backfiring on him because they're just kind of chasing him away. So just kind of be careful of that, because they can do that to you if they're nearby, is really kind of rape you when you're trying to rally jack them. So, make use of each other's shops. That's always a nice thing to be able to do. And once again, have a TP scroll on you, because you're out. If they 2v1 your base, you're going to lose your base, especially if you don't have a TP scroll. I know this is all pretty basic, but it's pretty much what 2s is, besides micro and awesomeness. So they're pretty close to 50 food now, which would make it kind of an ideal time to fight, especially because the Orc kind of went into low upkeep at a stupid time. 51 food.